Yeah, this is your Unit 8 test review. We are testing on Thursday this week. That's going to be February 14th. So number 1 says, which of the following best represents the square root of 74? On this, all you have to do is type square root of 74 into your calculator. That comes out to around 8.6 and a whole lot of extra numbers, but 8.6 is close enough for us on this. So our answer's got to be somewhere between 8 and 9. Well, the only one that's got somewhere between 8 and 9 is going to be A. So answer choice is A on number 1. On number 2, it says, which of the following has a value between 8.91 and 9.60? So through on A, B, C, and D, you just got to work out the square roots of each of those. Because each of these numbers has 2 decimal places, we need to make sure that we have at least 2 decimal places on these as well. So square root of 70 comes out to 8.3, and we're going to round it up just a little bit to 7. Square root of 80 comes out to 8.94. Square root of 93 is going to be 9.64. And square root of 105 is 10.2, and that's going to round up just a little bit to 5, so 10.25. So we just got to figure out which one of those is between those 2 numbers. And from here, I'm going to let you guys figure out what the answer is on your own. All the work's pretty much done for you. So on number 3, it says the hypotenuse of a right triangle measures the square root of 35.35 meters. Which of the following is the best approximation to the length of the hypotenuse? They tell us that the hypotenuse on this one is the square root of 35.35, so all you have to do is plug that into the calculator and get a value for it. So find out what that equals, and that's pretty much your answer. That's all you have to do. So if I plugged it in, I'm not going to round it for you guys. I'm just going to write it out, what I got in the calculator. That's supposed to be a 7 there at the end. From there, I'm going to let you guys figure it out. So on number 4, it says the model of the Pythagorean Theorem is shown. Based on the information in the model, which equation should be represents the Pythagorean Theorem? Well, this is just a visual of the Pythagorean Theorem, and what I want you to notice is that they've got the little square marks here, which means that they've already squared the numbers. So I actually need the square roots of each of these numbers to know what the side lengths are supposed to be. So on this, that 9, square root of 9 is going to be 3, so this would be a side length of 3. Square root of 16 would be 4, so that'd be a side length of 4. Square root of 25 is going to be 5. So we've got a 3, 4, 5 triangle. So if I were to plug that into the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, well, my numbers, this is left side's a, bottom side's going to be b, just because that's the way I chose to do it. It'd be 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. What they're expecting you to do on this one, and I'm going to do this in red because this is not the correct answer. On this one, they expected you to do 9 squared plus 16 squared equals 25 squared. And I'm pretty sure there's one like this on your test. That is not the correct answer. Don't fall for that. So again, from there, I'm going to let you guys pick out the right answer on this. So number 5, it says, when his bus arrives, Calvin is 40 feet from the feet east of the corner. The door of the bus is 30 feet north of the corner. So they've got that already marked here for us. So there's that, there's that. It says approximately how much farther would Calvin travel by walking on the sidewalk to get to the bus than he would by crossing the field? So first we got to figure out how far he is on the field. So this is clearly Pythagorean theorem because this is supposed to be a 90-degree angle over here. So we're going to use the same thing as always. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So my a, I'm just going to call it 30. So we've got 30 squared plus 40 squared equals whatever our c squared is. So again, it's the same pattern that we're always doing. We're going to square the numbers, add them, take the square root, because this side over here is going to be side c. If you do the pattern like I say, in the calculator, you end up getting c equals 50. And they're expecting you to go for that on this one. The answer is not going to be 50 because it said, how much farther does he have to go? Well, first we got to figure out how far he actually was going to have to go if he didn't go across the field. Well, in this, we'd have to take the 30 and the 40, and we're going to have to put those two together. So originally, he was going to have to go 70 feet if he didn't cut through the field, but he went through the field, so he only had to go 50 feet. Well, how much farther would be the difference between those two? That ends up being your answer. So again, I'm going to let you guys pick the correct answer on this one. Number 6 is pretty straightforward. All it says is which one of these is going to be a right triangle. Well, again, we're always going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. If you're not getting tired of hearing me say that, I'm already getting tired of saying it. First, you got to figure out which side is C on all of these. Well, C is always going to be your longest side, whether it looks like it or not. So you just got to look at the numbers and pick out side C. So what I'd recommend doing is on each of these in the calculator, I'd take A and B. So on these, I'm going to highlight A and B. There's A, there's B. There's A, there's B. There's A, there's B. There's A, there's B. Square the numbers, add them, take the square root. See which one is going to give you the correct side length of side C. So here you can see a picture of what I did in the calculator for A, B, C, and D. And from there you should be able to pick out what the correct answer is, because only one of those is going to actually match side C correctly. So now on to number 7. It says, look at the diagram below. What is the length from point A to point B? Well, I mean, there's clearly a right triangle there. All we're going to do is plug this into the calculator and solve from there. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We're going to call this side A. I'm going to call this side B. And clearly this is side C because it's opposite of the right angle. Plug those numbers in, see what you get. Again, I did all of this in the calculator. Here's the work that I did. That's more than enough to get you the correct answer. Number 8 says, look at the coordinate grid below. What is the approximate length of segment AB in units? So we're trying to find this distance right here. Well, the easiest way to do that is to make a right triangle out of it. I didn't have to do it on top. I could have done it on the bottom. Doesn't really matter. Then you just count your sides. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in length. This side over here is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 in length. So in the calculator, you're going to set it up as square root of 5 squared plus 4 squared. Because all we're doing is we're squaring the numbers, adding them, and taking the square root. Whenever you get that, that's going to give you the right answer. So make sure you try that out on your own. On number 9, it says triangle PQR is graphed on a coordinate grid below. What is the length of PR in units? So exact same thing. In fact, actually, I think they even kind of, like, we're trying to find the distance between these 2 points, and they kind of already draw a triangle out for you. So again, it's the exact same setup. So you're going to count up the sides and then plug them into the formula. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 there. Over here, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So in the calculator, square root of 9 squared. Again, we're solving for side C, so plus 7 squared. And that's going to get you the answer that you're looking for. On number 10, it says, when 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal, which of the following relationships have congruent angles? And congruent, again, that just means the exact same size, same shape. Well, whenever you're talking about transversal, all of the angle relationships, so corresponding angles, I gave you guys that cheat sheet. Alternate exterior, alternate interior, and vertical's not on there. All of those have congruent angles, so it's all of the above on that one. On number 11, it says find the measure of angle 8. So this one right here, if angle 4 is 57. So that one's supposed to be 57. Again, personally, I only really know the vertical angles. I know that those two are going to be the same. I know that those two are going to be the same. So if 4 and 8 are the same thing, you ought to know what the angle, what angle 8 is going to be worth. On number 12, it says in the diagram below, you have a parallel line cut by a transversal. This thing right here is a transversal. It says, based on the information in the diagram, which of the following statements is true? On this one, there are 2 words that we have not talked about before. First, complementary. Complementary means that if you add the 2 angles, they add up to 90 degrees. With supplementary angles are going to add up to 180 degrees. Okay? So I'm going to go and tell you, look at answer choice B. It says angle 1 and angle 7 are congruent. This means congruent right here. Okay? So those are supplementary angles, I believe. Either way, they're going to be the same thing. And then it says angle 6 and 7. So these 2 right here are going to add up to 180 degrees, and they will because they are on the same line. So your answer is going to be B on that one. On number 13, it says Alex drew the diagram below. Based on the diagram, which statement is true? So looking at answer choice A, it says the sum of the measures of interior and exterior always add up to 360. Well, exteriors add up to 360, but interiors do not, so A is not going to work for us. Similar thing with answer choice C. It says the sum of the measures of the interior and exterior are always 180 degrees. Well, again, that's true about interior, but not exterior, so C is also out. And on these other 2, I know that it says angle C, but it's supposed to be talking about angle X. I believe on your test tomorrow it's going to be talking about angle C. So this should be, well, that was C right there, but it's actually X. Okay, so first I need to find out what this angle right here is, okay? So I'm going to add these 2 together. Whenever I add 130 and 37, I get 167. So what I would do is I do 180 minus the 167, which tells me that this angle right here is 13 degrees. But if I want to know X, I've got to do 180 minus 13. And whenever I do that, it's 167. That's the same thing I got when I added these 2 up. So if you look at answer choice D, it says the measure of the exterior angles of a triangle are equal to the sum of the measures of the two adjacent interior angles, which is exactly what we just did. They were the same, okay? On B, it says that they're less. Number 14, it says triangle ABC and EFD are shown below. Based on the given information in the triangles, determine if the triangles are similar. So both of these should add up to 180 degrees on the inside. So first what I want to do is I want to make sure that they both have this same angle in the corner. If they both have the same angle, then they're going to be the same. So what I would do is I'd take 180 and I'd subtract 60 and 40. So this angle ends up being 80. Well, again, if I did the same thing over here, if I did 180 minus 60 and 40, I'd also get 80. So they have to be similar triangles. So looking at the answer choices, we already know that they're going to be similar. So B is going to be out, and then D is going to be out. All right, so I was a genius and started making marks without you guys actually being able to see what I was doing. As you can see here in the colors, 60 and 60 are the same, 40 and 40 are the same, which means that 80 and 80 obviously are going to be the same. C sounds really nice because it says that the triangles are similar because they both add up to 180. That's true, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're similar. So your answer choice ends up being A on that one. Number 15 is pretty straightforward. It says in each diagram, line R is parallel to line S, so they're talking about these right here. Obviously, those are parallel, and they're showing you that, well, these two are vertical angles. Those are going to be the same. These are alternate interior angles. They're going to be the same. These two are also vertical angles, and they're the same. So looking here at the diagram, if that's 162, all of those have got to be 162. So you should be able to figure out what your answer is from there.